My first question is, why have you come back to Towson?
My family actually lives nearby. You know, I grew up in Bowie, and so I try to come back here when I can, which is not often. But I came back this time because it was a great opportunity for me to see the campus. I haven't been here in so long. It's been about 11 years. And to come back and talk to the students, see my old teachers, and you know, so much has changed lately that having an opportunity to come back and kind of remember how it all started was really great for me, and because I think, you know, there's a responsibility to at least share whatever I can about my own experience at Towson and after, because hopefully it can be helpful for people that are in the same boat. And if I can do that in any way and help, then I feel really good about that. I want to do that.
So is there anything you have learned here at Towson that has helped you in your career?
So much. My time at Towson was, you know, incredibly formative, and I didn't just learn the technical ins and outs of how to do production, how to make movies, how to shoot them, how to edit them. I did learn all of that. I learned a love for movies too. I was exposed to movies that were shown to me in classes like genre theory and criticism and things like that I never would have known about or sought out, and that really helped deepen my vocabulary just as a fan. And the other thing that I really got here was encouragement. When I first enrolled at Towson, it was my plan to be a secondary education major. And when I took Film 1, or Intro to Film, that was the first time in my life that I felt encouraged to pursue something I'd always looked at as a hobby, as a potential career. And that level of support and encouragement continued throughout the 6 years that I was here. And I found that there was actually a community here of faculty and students that were incredibly nurturing of those ambitions. And you know, I'm convinced if I had tried to go to another school, if I had tried to go to USC or NYU or UCLA, I would never have had the access to personnel and equipment that I had at Towson, and I would never have had the attention and support on an individual level that I got from my teachers here. The program was just the right size to give individual students that kind of support, and I don't think people get that in a lot of film programs. I think most of them wait a long time to be able to just be a cog in a group assignment and not be encouraged to go out and really develop, you know, their own voice on it. And I got that here in a major way.
Are there any professors that have inspired you the most?
Oh yes, the most profoundly inspiring professors I had here were, of course, Greg Fowler, who taught a number of my courses and was wonderful. Steve Yeager, who produced my first film as a teacher, produced my first feature. Tom Brandow, who I had for a lot of film production classes, and who was wonderful. G.T. Keplinger, who was teaching here at the time. Barry Moore, who presided over my intro course and laid down not only the first real level of support for me, but also some of the biggest challenges. Yeah, I mean, the entire faculty was wonderful. And because a lot of my student projects used a lot of students and used a lot of facilities and equipment from the school, I mean, I was supported across the board. And that's not the way it goes at a lot of programs.
And how has your career developed since Towson?
Slowly and from the ground up. You know, I think the program gave me a lot of the tools that I needed. And when I actually got out into the world and had to start working, my career evolved the way I think they're supposed to, and the way I always hoped it would. But I started very, very low on the totem pole, and I spent most of my career editing, and still kind of holding on to this idea that it's like what I really wanted to do was make my own movies and write them and direct them myself. But that took a really long time, and what ended up happening was that some of the really intense skill sets I picked up at Towson, particularly editing, became my lifeboat during that time, and ended up affording me a living while I was able to keep trying to write and trying to generate product.
And what can we expect from your next film, Somnia?
It's a very different animal from Oculus. It's not even really a horror movie. There's a level of fragility and beauty to it that I'm really excited about. It's PG-13, so it doesn't have the brutality of Oculus, and is more about wonder and innocence. And I think what people can expect is something that's a lot more along the lines of Pan's Labyrinth or What Dreams May Come, kind of a fable, with some scary elements, but one of the things when if you are lucky enough to make movies, it's like there's this real pressure, hopefully internally, that you don't want to repeat yourself, and you want to always try to challenge yourself and stretch into something new. And this one for me has actually been my sentimental favorite script for years. This was the movie I wish I could have made before Oculus got greenlit, and a movie I never would have been allowed to make if Oculus hadn't happened. So I'm curious to see how it goes over.
And I guess my last question to wrap it up is a question that you've probably been given many times tonight, but what advice can you give to aspiring EMF majors?
The biggest one, I think, is if you're going to go out to Los Angeles and give it a shot, to go out armed, to arm yourself with a really effective short that showcases your voice as a filmmaker, that isn't trying to emulate something that you like, that is really something that is indicative of your most kind of refined, commercially viable perspective as a filmmaker. Go out with that short and a screenplay, something that you've pored over and that is ready for sale. Don't try to change the world. Try to show what you can do with the marketplace. Try to embrace the commerce of the industry. Embrace commercial viability, and then use that to be in a position where you can make more personal work, and to try to thrive on rejection, to try to collect rejections, collect no's, collect that kind of frustration, and realize that each one of them is a step closer, even though it's going to feel at a certain point like you're being beaten down into submission. Because it's very, very tempting to stop, and the industry is designed to make you want to. So try instead, even though it's real hard, and I know it for a fact, try instead to turn that into what motivates you to keep going, and just don't give up.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing this interview with us. It was
my pleasure. Thank you guys so much.